Damn Native is, first and foremost, an indigenous group with indigenous philosophies and ideals. It's run on being Maori, which is indigenous people of this country. That's always been Damn Native's number one aim is for Maori to, the philosophy was for Maori to be recognised in hip-hop music in this country. In the actual recording industry, the music industry, there was no hip-hop here, and Damn Native started out as, let's get Maori hip-hop on in the industry and get some respect, which we eventually did.
I was about 16, I got disenchanted with the school system through the lyrics of Bob Marley and packed all my shit into a backpack and walked to Wellington. And then started roaming the streets of Wellington and the Hutt Valley and going to parties as a young guy and met up with some like-minded youth who were also pissed off with being oppressed and whatever. And we formed a bit of a group. First of all, we were dancers. We became B-boys and B-girls. And that moved on to tinkering with instrumentation. And we sort of, as we hung out and became a dance crew, we started testing each other's, what we call kaupapa, which is your reason. And we found that we could feed off each other's reasoning and we became politically motivated. Now, it wasn't political as in National Labour or whatever. No, it was the politics of being happy. So we knew heaps of kids around our neighbourhood who weren't as politically aligned and not fortunate enough to hook up with probably 10 like-minded people, and we became a force. That was the Up Posse. Now we started writing tunes to uplift other kids in the neighbourhood who were suicidal, solo parented, abused, all of those nasty stats. Yeah, and it started from there.
The way it went down was like that. It was like, for me, breakdancing and the graffiti were hand in hand. Then the DJs was a real big DJ phase here, and then the rap came in. We were mimicking America in the dance. It was the craze. I mean, I remember seeing on That's Incredible, I think it was New York City Breakers, I think. And then you have Beat Street and stuff like that. And so for me, that was the big, I think that was for them first, I think. I mean, America too, it was the dance craze, but the rap is also. But here I know that it was the breakdancing phenomenon. It went right through the schools. We had a thing called Bop Olympics, and it was crazy, man. It was like big baggy pants and stuff. And, that was my first. Since then, I've never looked back.
I can remember it as clear as day. I was probably 17, and we were down in a place called Lower Hutt on a Thursday night. It was late night shopping. So we'd catch our bus from Upper Hutt and we'd go to Lower Hutt. Massive names for our suburbs, eh? And across on one side of the road was a takeaways kind of spacey parlour where you went and played Space Invaders and stuff like that. And the place was crawling with kids on a Thursday night. And across the road was the library. It was the public library, and no one was there. And we used to drink outside the library and get pissed in the park. And one night, one of my mates suggested, should we go and have a look? And go and have a dig, go and trawl through the library, go and cause mischief, basically, go and steal books with pictures. And I scarfed a Time magazine that was the year in photos from 1983 or something like that. And massive photos, yeah, great. And I opened one particular page and there was a picture of 3 young black kids in tracksuits and sneakers and baseball caps in these f***ed up poses, like another guy was with. And it intrigued us. It's like, what the hell's going on here? They look like us. They're wearing tracksuits, which we thought were cool because we were sporty kids. We played league and we played basketball and stuff like that. So, I remember reading this article and it had a picture of a hand on a turntable. And I was reading all of this brand new information that I'd never heard of, like scratching. back spinning and hand spins. And I remember tearing it out of the magazine and hanging it up on the wall in my flat and reading it daily, like, what the hell's this shit? I'm going to suss this out. And then Buffalo Gals video came on telly, and there it was. There was the scratching, and there was the guys posing and locking and popping and shit. And we thought, damn, that's cool. The thing is, bro, at that point, we were kind of hip hop kids without knowing it, right? We had the sneakers, we had Bata Bullets back then, they were called, and we liked the fashion that we seen off TV with brown people in it. So I'm talking like Good Times, shows like that, even Sesame Street to an extent where they'd have artists on and doing stuff. So we got little tiny bits of information. Most of the graffiti shit we saw was in the backgrounds of movies, like The Warriors. That was the first time I seen a kid pull a spray can out of a bag and write on a toilet. He wrote a W, and I was like, whoa, that's some power. You can get some shit out. So we had this bubbling along behind us while we're, being treated as Eskimos and country bumpkins, but still had this, something was, like I said, when we went to the discos when I was young in Hastings, the dance just pulled you from behind, got your spirit and pulled you onto the dance floor. So it was kind of, by the time we heard the message and by the time I seen Buffalo Gals on telly, that was it. That's me. Okay, that's me on that. As opposed to being a line dancer or someone who got pissed on a Saturday night at the club rooms and beat people up, we were trying to look for something else. So it's seeped in, like, through the backgrounds of stuff, until one of my good friends, D Word, he started ordering magazines from overseas, and we got Blues and Soul Mag sent from England. He's teenage Maori kids. The last thing we were doing was writing and sending money to another country to get information. But my bro Dean was so onto it that he did that, and we came across Planet Rock, the review of this record in this magazine. Like, I remember reading it and going, wow, this sounds crazy. So Dean sent away for it, and he got a 7-inch of Planet Rock in 1983. The date, I don't know exactly the date, but around then. And we put this record on and thought, what the f*** is going on? This beat is doing something else to me, right? From the waveforms of funk music, like, it was kind of natural, but to have syncopated bang, 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 just the flow you had in your dance became, and you could instantly recognize, okay, now I can be a popper, So Planet Rock sort of kicked it all off. I mean, there's no turning back after that song. There's no way was I ever going to listen to contrived pop music,
Yeah, like you say, it's not on TVs or on radios at all. And I used to go to the record store, which was groovy, and you had to order it. You had to order music, and there was nothing. So, in a way, I thought that made us more hungry, more interested, more wild for it. Any little snippet on TV got videoed and played 1,000 times. Pause the button, doing, what are they doing? So in a way, I thought that made us a lot more hungry. And now, I mean, for nowadays, it's the mailman's got raps. It's nothing now. It's commercialized, and it's a big wheel now. It's the biggest youth music in the world and stuff like that. But back then, it made me hungry. That's all I did. Immerse myself when I was young in hip-hop culture for whatever I could get. Get the ghetto blaster in that, and to a point where, my mum threw my ghetto blaster out the window, bro. She had enough. I'd just lock myself in the room and go at it. Practice and rap and just listen to, like, street music and all of that stuff, the albums and stuff like that. And yeah, the old ghetto blaster out the window. Enough of that. Go to school.
Because we lived 30 odd Ks from the centre of Wellington City, we were considered country bumpkins. We didn't have matching Lenko tracksuits, and we didn't have matching sneakers. We were just natural, I guess you could say. So yeah, we were kind of laughed at a bit, but that just stoked the fires really. We'd practice hard for like 2 years, hard out every day, got healthy, got agile, lots of healing in hip hop that was gifted to us. So we had to earn our rep. The reputation really came when we released our first single called Air 2, which said, stand the f*** up or get the f*** out. There was no please about it. It was, no, this is it, you know. We got sick of seeing young Maori children being treated like shit. Not just Maori kids, Asian, all Polynesian people, by this old school New Zealand prejudice. Everything from get down the back of the class because you're not going to be sticking around at school long enough to bother with, so that kind of shit pissed me off. So by the time we were the Upper Posse and making our own music, the biggest regrets were people saying that we were racist. Because we were pro-cultural, you know, we were called anti-non-culture, yeah. So it was quite sad. But we were dealing with the 80s in New Zealand. It's a different place, bro. No women in politics and stuff like that then, you know. Different world now.
Well, what happened is, for me, is that this urban culture called hip-hop, that I learned about from America and overseas, okay, as I started getting older and learning about my own culture, which wasn't necessarily the traditional way. You know, I learned most of my Maori on the street. You know, I had a lot of ball store and stuff like that. A lot of crime and drugs and stuff. So my Maori, I actually learned it in an urban way, like through being in ball store, and you have kapa haka people come in and teach you Maori and stuff like this. I run with Maori boys, you know, who couldn't say kia ora properly, you know, couldn't even speak Maori, but, you know, one thing against Maori shit and it's all on, sort of thing. So the way I learned Maori gradually was firstly from the street. So as I got older and was good with words, loved the music, hip hop, my stuff was a cross between street and being proud Maori. Not knowing all of the, what we call tikanga, all of the rules and regulations that go on traditionally about our culture, but just first of all was proud, patriotic Maori, you know, Maori, number one Maori, straight up from the street. And then as I grew older, meet different people through music, you know, meet different people, and then around my late teenage years, I started getting into more traditional learning of Māori, like all the more the language, more protocols, which we call tikanga and all tikanga Māori, tau Māori, everything about Māori, the Māori world. So for me, it was like this American thing that just really blew my mind when I was young. Awesome. Okay, I probably knew I was Māori because, you know, the neighbourhood we live in, you know, the socio-economic living, the class that we're in, that my family live in, we're definitely Māori, but hip-hop came in, and I consider myself more hip-hop, but always Māori, you know what I mean. Then as we go along, I learned my hip-hop from the street, and as I get older, more traditional stuff. And that was just a big, it was a big learning for my words and for my lyrics. Yeah, it's street, Māori, patriotic, damn native. I mean, that's basically the truth about damn native.
I rapped a bit when I was younger, and what I wanted to get across was self-confidence and show people that you can be straight up. You know, I guess it wasn't really nailed until I heard Chuck D. When I heard Chuck D, I knew that, man, you can be straight to the point, hard-hitting, no mess, no fuss, no catchy lyric. You don't even have to rhyme. That was a blessing. It was just the joy of hearing someone think before they spoke. That's kind of, you know, takes you back to being on the marae. You didn't say things half-assed. The marae is a place where what you say is in concrete. A particular place on the marae is very sacred. It's the realm of war. So when you spoke in that realm, that was it. So that, we were raised to take words seriously, as opposed to white lies and things like that. So, yeah, I guess it's from our cultural background that when a chief spoke, you listened. And we considered when you had the microphone, you were a chief, because you're the loudest voice. And if you're speaking to more than 3 people, you better have your shit together.
It's a personal thing, you can, why you got into this, or why I got into it, is exactly for that, to put some hope and smile on my brothers and sisters' faces, and to enjoy themselves, and to have a choice other than the American-driven money side of hip-hop that we all know about. We've got to have choices. And for me, for Maori, I'm here to restore some balance in that equation. The other thing is, for me, is like, and for other artists, I think too, is like, too much Maori, you're not going to sell. And then that's the way it is. I mean, a lot of people are scared, even Maoris are scared of it, or intimidated by it, or it's not the industry, or it's not the right thing to do. I've had that all my life. It's not the, it's not the, you should be doing that. It's not the, what do you call it, the trend. It's not the, the trends and stuff. But I've always been straight Māori, so I don't really worry about that. But as far as other people doing it, and other Māori artists, it's not just Māori artists that I'd like to see more Aotearoa, more Māori in their lyrics and that. I'd like to see the whole of New Zealand music. If you're coming out to New Zealand, you've got to acknowledge some form of it. And they do, they say, oh, I was influenced by this and this and that and that. But yeah, personally, I think there should be more, and more upfront about it.